TW200 Trike. Pretty sweet. Oh, hello. You're not my dog. That's the neighbor's dog. Pretty cool. So I'm out here today riding this thing on the trails. It's doing awesome. It's really practical. This is what I built it for when the trail conditions are like this. Still geared really low. TWs have a super low first gear anyways. Works great on these trails. I have a lot of gravel roads I gotta drive down to get here, so it's really practical that way. I can still fly down back roads. Got signal lights, horn, insured and registered. It's pretty sweet. Cool old car. It's like an old Plymouth station wagon or something. Just abandoned out here in the forest. I don't know the story of how this car got here, but I bet it's pretty interesting. So I don't know what it is about trikes, but I seem to have an obsession. So I built the lawn chopper. I built that V8 trike over there. That thing hasn't ran in years. My latest creation, the good old wheel do, the reverse trike. Then I have a Honda Big Red. This thing's awesome. I built a snowplow for the front of the Big Red. And I have two KLT 200s. These trikes are cool because the rear diff you can lock and unlock, and they have a clutch. So they're pretty cool trikes. Okay, so working on the Yamaha Raptor swing arm here, making it fit the TW. So what I had to do was I had to cut this off. That used to be on there. And it used to have one of these dust caps on, slash they're kind of a bearing. So that used to be on there too. Unfortunately, I can't run that. And then the sleeves go inside there. I had to cut that down a little bit shorter. And then this is the factory Raptor swing arm bolt, and it's quite a bit bigger than the TW200 bolt. So basically, let's set it up here. There's a lot of free play there, so that doesn't work. But I went out and got these bushings, and they actually fit in here perfectly. They're just brass bushings, and then I can put it on, and it's not an exact fit. There's still a little bit of play, but that's pretty much as good as I'm going to get it without having something custom machined to fit in there. Once I grease it all up, it should be good for a while. And I might even grind more of this away so I can get at least a flat washer in there, so there's something between this and the bike, that inside surface there, because that's going to be a wear point, this moving up and down all the time. And I also had to shave some of this off with a grinder so it would clear the engine, so it would fit in there. But now it fits perfect. Slide those bushings in. But as you can see, I had to take about a 1/4 inch off this one side, so it kind of shifted the whole swing arm over. Still have the bushing on this side, and the chain lines up perfect. I'm going to have to figure something out for the brake lever on the back, because I'm going from a drum brake off the old TW to a disc, but I'll figure something out there. So I got the swing arm on there. I still have to build a shock mount. The factory Yamaha Raptor shock won't fit because the linkage, I would have to weld something on the frame of the TW down here. I don't really want to do that. And plus this reservoir on top wouldn't fit up in there. So I'm going to use the factory TW shock, and I'm going to build a bracket in here. And then for the sprocket, the Yamaha Raptor uses a 520 chain, and the TWs use a 428. And you can't get a 428 sprocket for a Raptor axle. So what I did was I bought this generic 428 sprocket, put the Raptor on top there. I lined it up really carefully, measured it all out, and then I drilled out the holes. So I got the bolt pattern. Now if I set this axle up here, the bolt pattern lines up, but this center hub doesn't clear, doesn't let it sit down. So now I'm just going to take my grinder and I'm going to cut the whole center hub out, make it look just like the Raptor sprocket. Should be strong enough. Hopefully it works. Okay, there it is. Just cut the centerpiece out. She bolted up perfectly. Okay, so I got the axle all put together. I got all new bearings in the carrier and seals, cleaned it all up. Got a new hub piece here for the disc brake because I had to cut the old one off. It was seized. So I got that all together. The chain lines up perfect. Nice and straight. So these TWs actually have a jack shaft up in there. The sprocket is further out than a regular dirt bike to accommodate that fat tire. And it actually works out perfect for this quad rear end. Lines up good. So that's pretty cool. That was one thing I was worried about. So I took measurements for that before I started this project. And yeah, the TWs actually work with these 700 rear axles pretty good. Okay, so I just finished welding up this piece. Basically, this is going to bolt up to that. It's going to go there. It kind of goes across, and you can see the shock mount, which I actually cut out of an old trailer hitch insert. Just needed some thick steel. I lined it all up, I'm just letting this cool off. Now I'm going to paint it, and I got to take the swing arm off again so I can drill those holes and rivet it. And then I'll be on my final assembly, putting this thing all together. Okay, so I got the bracket all painted up. Got the bolt through, got one rivet in. So I'm using these big 1/4 inch rivets, and you need a special rivet gun for them. And hopefully it's strong enough. Sure it will be. Okay, it's looking pretty good. The swing arm all bolted up. Got the bracket in there. Got the chain hooked up. I had to take about that much out of it. It's not too bad. I'll just get a new chain when I want to go back to motorcycle form. Chain runs true. It's cool. Uses a factory slider. Everything lines up. Took the kickstand off. Took that neutral safety switch off. So here's my solution for the rear brake. Factory caliper from the Raptor. Factory mount. Had to move it over a little bit. Factory master cylinder. So I had to drill a hole in the TW in this plate here, and then I made a little aluminum bracket to just hook to this hole. Factory reservoir from the Raptor. I just cut the hose shorter, and then I had to weld this piece on right here. I had to weld it to the factory TW brake lever, but it works really good now. The only issue I can see in the future when I want to go back to the motorcycle tire is the factory drum brake from the TW hooks up to that top hole, and then a rod goes back. So this arm I welded might hit it while it's swinging up, but we'll deal with that later when we get to that point, figure something else out. But for now, that's pretty much the only permanent modification I had to make to the TW itself, was that weld and that hole I had to drill. That's it. Everything else is a bolt-on kit. You can go back and forth between motorcycle and trike. Just makes this TW more useful in the winter months. And it's kind of a loophole, gray area. Technically, it is a street legal trike. But are you going to have issues if you just go down the highway? Yes. If you're just riding, like if you're riding around town, yeah, you're probably going to get pulled over because from the back it looks like a quad. Plus, Yamaha never intended it to be a trike. But for what I'm going to do, I'm still just going to stick to the ditches, the trails, the odd gravel road. I'll be fine just doing that kind of stuff with it. The other thing I want to mention is this frame, the TW frame, was never engineered to take this kind of stress. Like it's being exposed to some new stresses, side loads. Like the engine is actually a structural part of the frame. There's no frame that goes underneath the engine. It bolts up there and there. So you're putting a lot of stress on this frame that it was never intended for. So you got to be sensible. You can't take it off any massive jumps. And just take it easy. Yep, I'm really impressed. It works great. I mean, I have a Honda 250 Big Red, and yes, it's better at being a trike. But this thing's pretty cool. It's got a clutch, gears. Could I've got a Honda 200X? Yeah. They probably even have a little bit more power. But that's just another thing to insure and register. I already had this bike. Just allows me to use it more year-round. I just went through that mud hole there. No problems. Could I have got through there in bike form? Yeah. Would have got my feet a lot more wet. But at the end of the day, I'm just having fun. And that's what it's all about. Peace out. Thanks for watching.